How do you know you're transgender, and what does it even mean to be transgender? Keep watching and you'll figure it out. Surgery gave me freedom. First of all, it would be great to know what transgender means. If you're transgender, it means that you don't identify or don't fully identify with the sex and or gender you were assigned at birth. So if that rings a bell, then you might be trans. That's the definition. I feel like sometimes it's good to discuss the opposite of a term that's more known or the norm, let's say it like that, to know that you're not the norm, that you're not part of that norm. So you could turn around the question, how do you know you're cisgender? Cisgender meaning you do identify with the sex and or gender you were assigned at birth. And I think many cisgender people would just say, but that's just how I feel. It's just an innate feeling in me, and I don't know how to explain it further. I was assigned a boy at birth, I was assigned a girl at birth, and it just feels right. I never really questioned it, maybe for a brief period, but not for a long time, because I just knew that it was right. And if you're trans, then you could say kind of the opposite, like you might have felt for a while that something felt off around that gender that you were assigned at birth, or maybe not for a long time, but just recently you've been thinking about that. Well, there has been some stuff that seems off about your gender. It's not something bad. It could be a very good thing, really, to just know who you are, and it's a very nice thing to be trans. I made a small list of things that might mean that you are trans. Let's look into that. First of all, you feel not completely comfortable when people address you as the gender you were assigned at birth, whether that be a girl or a boy. You just feel like it doesn't really encompass what you are. And the other way around, if someone does see you as another gender than the one that you were assigned at birth, it feels right. It feels euphoric. It feels like you can get gender euphoria from that. That might be a good sign that you might be trans. Also, pronouns. When a pronoun is used for you that, is commonly related to the gender you were assigned at birth, and that does not feel right to you. For example, you were assigned the gender at birth girl, and people refer to you with she, her. That doesn't feel right. Or the other way around, you were assigned the gender at birth boy, and people say he, him, and that feels a bit off. That might be a sign. It might be a sign that you would like to use other pronouns or a combination of pronouns. Another sign might be that you experience gender dysphoria. You don't have to experience gender dysphoria, let's put it out there, let's be clear, but it might be a sign that you are trans. Gender dysphoria is something that I think most trans people experience when they start growing up as a teenager, because in that moment, your body is changing, things become more clearer. For example, you might get a period, you might grow something here, you might get hair in places that you do not like, stuff like that. And that's when you really realize, like, is my body betraying me? Is it doing things that I didn't think it would do, that don't fit my gender? It could be a very big sign that you're trans, but you don't have to experience that in order to be trans. It's just a possible sign. Another thing I would say is you relate to things that other trans people say or do. You relate to trans people in general, like whether it's a friend that is trans, a family member that is trans, it's someone on the TV that is trans, a famous person, and you relate to what they say in regards to their gender experience. That might be a great big sign. Another thing could be you feel like your name doesn't really encompass what you are. Your name doesn't feel completely right because it is a bit too feminine, a bit too masculine, a bit, not completely what you would have chosen if you could have. Yeah, you just kind of feel like your name hides who you really are. What we often don't really think about when we like or when we do like our name is that if someone sees your name and they don't know you like in person, they don't know you before, then they already get a big idea of that person regarding to their gender. Like if you have a masculine name, the person will think, okay, that will be a boy. And if you have a feminine name, they will think, oh, it'll be a woman and I will address her like that, and you already have a lot of expectations in your head surrounding that person's gender and maybe even their behavior. That's why names can be a really big thing in regards to gender. Also, your gender expression can be, but doesn't have to be, an expression of your gender identity. So if you like particular things regarding to clothing, regarding to makeup, that are not usually seen as something that is for a certain gender, it might mean that you are trans. Another thing I would say is you don't like being grouped with people of the gender you were assigned at birth. Because of course, if you are grouped with the girls and you feel like a boy, or you are grouped with the boys and you feel like you're non-binary, it means that you do not feel like you fit that group completely. You would have preferred to choose another one. Now, I just mentioned non-binary, and that might be a bit confusing maybe to some people, but non-binary is actually a term, an identity that falls under the trans umbrella, just as a trans woman, a trans man is under that umbrella. A non-binary person is also under there. And I'll make a different video discussing how you can know that you are non-binary. But so now I just discussed a few signs that might mean that you're under the trans umbrella, basically. I hope this helps, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Born, can occupy space in my body. Surgery gave me freedom.